Typhoon Saudalor, one of the strongest typhoons of 2015, made landfall in China in August, causing severe damage. With winds of up to 215 km/h, the storm devastated southeastern provinces, especially Fujian province. Hundreds of homes were destroyed, trees were uprooted, and power grids were severely damaged, leaving millions without power. Floods caused by heavy rains accompanying the storm inundated many areas, causing extensive property damage and threatening lives. Local authorities had to deploy rescue teams and provide emergency assistance to help those affected. The storm left a devastating impact, with dozens of people killed and thousands displaced. China's unique geographical location exposes the country to frequent tropical storms, some of which are powerful and can cause serious damage. With a coastline of more than 14,500 kilometers along the East China Sea, South China Sea, and Yellow Sea, China is surrounded by warm seas where typhoons frequently form. China's eastern and southeastern coastal regions, including the provinces of Fujian, Guangdong, Zhejiang, and especially Hainan Island, are heavily affected by these storms. China's typhoon season coincides with the rainy season, which typically lasts from May to September. During this time, the humid subtropical climate of southern and southeastern China creates ideal conditions for the formation and development of strong typhoons. As these storms move from the Pacific Ocean to land, they bring heavy rain and strong winds, causing floods, landslides, and infrastructure destruction, severely affecting people's lives. Not only do they affect coastal areas, but they also move further inland, impacting many different provinces, increasing the risk of natural disasters for millions of people. The combination of geography and climate conditions has made China one of the countries most affected by tropical storms in the world. As a result, China faces a series of natural disaster challenges every year, requiring careful preparation and rapid response from authorities and local communities. Typhoon Saudalor in 2015 caused severe impacts and devastated the lives of millions of people in the affected areas. When the typhoon made landfall, the terrible force of the wind and heavy rain forced more than 700,000 people to evacuate their homes to avoid the storm. For many families, the storm not only brought floodwaters, but also a nightmare, as their homes and lifelong assets were swept away or damaged beyond repair. In rural areas, where people mainly live in traditional houses built from simple materials, the power of the typhoon was devastating. Many houses could not withstand the fierce attack of strong winds and floods, and were completely destroyed or turned into rubble. The scene of devastation, the remains of previous lives now reduced to piles of mud and broken wood, made people feel heartbroken. The effects of Typhoon Saudalor were even more widespread as the entire region was without electricity for several days, paralyzing all activities and production. The lack of electricity meant that people could not maintain basic services such as clean water supply, food preservation, and even access to necessary medical services. Their lives became more difficult than ever as daily necessities became scarce. Many families struggled to find clean drinking water and food to sustain their lives in the days after the storm. Diseases also began to increase due to poor living conditions, polluted environment, and mental stress after witnessing the devastation caused by the natural disaster. Typhoon Soudelor left behind severe damage to infrastructure in the affected areas, bringing life and economic activity to a standstill. Thousands of kilometers of roads were severely damaged or submerged in floodwaters, turning once bustling roads into impassable muddy rivers. Asphalt was peeling off and collapsing, creating large potholes and dangerous cracks, making transportation extremely difficult, even impossible in many places. Vehicles, from cars to motorbikes, were stranded in the water, many of them swept away, completely submerged and severely damaged. These vehicles suffered not only mechanical damage, but also structural damage, increasing repair and replacement costs for residents and businesses. Bridges, especially those spanning rivers, were unable to withstand the force of the floodwaters. Many were torn apart by floodwaters, severely damaged in their structures, or completely swept away, disrupting vital routes. The destruction of bridges and culverts not only cut off major transportation routes, but also isolated many areas, making it extremely difficult to access relief and transport relief goods. Railways were also not spared from the devastation of Typhoon Soudelor. Many sections of track were flooded, deformed, or collapsed, forcing trains to stop operating, severely affecting the movement of people and the transport of goods. In the cities, high-rise buildings also faced devastation from the storm. Strong winds and heavy rains shattered windows, blew off roofs, and caused severe structural damage to many buildings. Broken glass fell onto the streets, increasing the risk of injury to people. Many office buildings and high-rise apartments have become unsafe to live or work in, forcing residents to evacuate. Airports and air terminals have not escaped the disruption. Flights have been canceled or delayed, with runways flooded and operating systems affected. This has caused chaos in the movement of passengers, with many stranded at the airport, unable to continue their journeys. The disruption of air traffic has also delayed the delivery of relief and essential goods to affected areas. In addition, the restaurant, food court, and hotel system has also suffered great damage. Many businesses have been damaged, with broken windows, floodwaters entering and damaging furniture and food reserves. Power outages and lack of clean water have forced many restaurants to close, causing great economic losses and affecting food supplies for local residents and rescue workers. In this situation, businesses face the risk of losing income and difficulty in restoring operations after the storm. Typhoon Soudelor caused severe damage, destroying infrastructure, damaging thousands of kilometers of roads, bridges, and high-rise buildings. After the storm, authorities urgently deployed rescue, repaired roads, restored traffic, and supported people. Disease prevention measures were also taken to protect public health, while businesses and commercial establishments quickly resumed operations, helping life gradually return to normal.